This is the Red Fitness AB-4100.
This bench weighs 85 pounds. The material uses both 7 and 14 gauge steel. The back pad is 36 inches and the seat pad is 13 inches. Both pads are 12 inches in width and the pad gap is 1.57 inches. The actual bench on the ground is 51.3 inches in length and 20.3 inches in width. This bench is 17 inches off the ground, which meets the IPF height standard.
Okay, so this is a ladder style bench, which means that all you have to do is just lift it up like this, and to drop it, just use this handle right here. Just put it down like that. The seat pad is also ladder style. A small nitpick that I have is, unlike the back pad where you just lift it up and it automatically locks in place, this one doesn't, and you have to actually do it yourself. It's a small nitpick. It's not a big deal. I don't use this that often, but it is something that I have to mention because we are regarding this as one of the best benches out there. An important thing that I have to mention is that this bench doesn't go directly up to 90 degrees, which I actually prefer since the 85 degrees, it's more comfortable for like when you're doing dumbbell shoulder press, and also less risk of injury. This bench is a closed ladder system, as you can tell, and that prevents you from accidentally sliding the ladder out of place. This bench is relatively lightweight and easy to maneuver, and also has this upright built-in storage post, which allows for vertical storage like this. And this is a really awesome feature to have. And for me personally, I find myself using this feature a lot, especially during my workouts, since I have a really small gym here. And this is just awesome to have, especially for small home gyms where they're trying to maximize space. I also have to bring up the pad length and the pad gap. I'm 5'6", 5'7", I'm not sure. I'm kind of short. Whenever I'm benching, I'm always on here. But if you're taller, then you might have to be here. You would prefer not to be in the middle here, so I think you can go here. I go here. The pad gap isn't that bad. If you're taller, I think the pad gap, you'll be able to find a way to make sure that's not in your way. This bench arrived in a couple of days. All the contents were neatly sorted and well protected. The three main parts to this bench is the seat pad, the back pad, and the metal. Red made this very simple. All you need to do is use a wrench to put the seat pad, the back pad, and this together. And a really awesome thing that Rep did was that the metal was all one piece, except this, but that's just more wrench. A lot of other companies, they have the metal all separate, and that's to make the shipping easier because they're able to fit all the content in a smaller box. But that does make it harder on the consumer to put it all together. It makes the whole experience building this easier.
Speaking of the assembly, like I said before, you need a wrench, but on some of these you can use just your hand. On the screws that I really needed a wrench, I also needed the spanner or another wrench to hold the nut on the other side in place. When I first tested out the pads, I really didn't like how rock hard they were. But after some time using this bench, the pads have started to soften, but not by a lot. I would prefer for it to be a little squishier though. The pad material is not the glossy type like this bench. The welding on this bench is incredibly well done on every part of this bench. They really didn't hold back on this one. The laser cutting on their logo and the numbers is very precise. Rep really made sure every detail on this bench was high quality, mostly. One side of the bench has wheels, on the other side the bench rests on top of these two black things that can spin out of place, so not everything on this bench is perfect.
When my bench arrived, the seat pad came ripped, so I contacted customer service and they sent me a new one free of charge in a couple of days. So 10 out of 10 customer service. This bench doesn't have everything though. It doesn't have a decline option and it doesn't have leg rollers. For me personally, I'm fine with that. But I know for some people, it might be you might have to have a decline option or leg rollers. So if you're into those two things, then don't get this bench. This bench costs $400, but if you know me, I always find a way to save money. I bought this during Black Friday. I only paid $370. Great price. $400 is a lot. And this bench is not a budget bench. There are lots of other cheaper options for an adjustable bench. But if you're used to like a commercial gym, this bench is as cheap as you'll get to a commercial gym bench. The benches at commercial gyms, those cost like $1,000, and those are pretty high quality for sure. And the benches that you'll find out for like $100 at like Amazon or Walmart, those are more comparable to like that bench with a really thin padding. And while that bench will be able to get the job done, it's not the best experience to be honest. All the cheaper benches are benches like those with thin padding and it's not as stable. Me personally, I'm really happy with this purchase. And if you guys know me, I only like purchases that are absolute steals. This bench is not quite an absolute steal, but it's pretty good. In conclusion, if you're looking for a bench that is as close to a commercial gym but as cheap as possible, then this is the bench.